All right, let's dive in. We're going to go on a journey around the AI world in, well, about 80 years. It's a story that takes us from these kind of forgotten theories all the way to the almost magical tools we use every single day. We're going to figure out how we actually got here.
You know, I absolutely love this quote from the sci-fi legend Arthur C. Clarke. And it just hits the nail on the head, right? Because for so many of us, these AI tools like ChatGPT, they feel like they just appeared out of thin air. And what they can do? It feels a whole lot like magic.
So, the big question is it really magic? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to see that today's AI revolution, it isn't sudden at all. Nope. It's actually the result of generations of brilliant and, let's be honest, sometimes really frustrated researchers who've been working on this for decades. Okay, so our story really kicks off about 80 years ago. Now, the dream of a thinking machine is ancient, of course, but this period, the 1940s to the 60s, this was the first dawn of AI. And let me tell you, it was a time of just incredible, almost wild optimism. So the 40s and 50s, this is where the bedrock was laid, piece by piece. It starts with the absolute basic building block of thought. You've got McCulloch and Pitts creating a mathematical model of a single neuron. Then, the legend himself, Alan Turing, comes along and poses this huge philosophical challenge, what we now call the Turing test, basically asking, how would we even know if a machine was thinking? And just a year after that, Marvin Minsky builds one of the very first neural computers, called SNARK. It was this tiny electronic brain designed to learn like a rat in a maze. The foundations were being set.
But the moment it all really came together, the moment it got a name, was the Dartmouth Workshop in 1956. This is it. This is where the term artificial intelligence was officially coined. And their goal? Wow. It wasn't just ambitious. It was completely audacious. They believed that every single aspect of intelligence could be described so precisely that a machine could be built to simulate it. We're talking language, abstract concepts, the whole shebang.
But all that early, electrifying optimism, it was powerful, for sure, but it couldn't last. The hype train was going full speed, and it was about to collide head-on with the cold, hard limits of technology. This collision plunged the entire field into these long periods of doubt and, crucially, defunding. We call them the AI winters. I mean, the gap between the hype and the reality was just staggering. In the 60s, people were seriously talking about machines that would walk, talk, see, maybe even be conscious. But the reality? Progress was just painfully slow. Let's be real, computers were still the size of a room, data was super limited, and the early models were getting hammered for being way too simple. This huge disconnect between the promise and what was actually possible, that's what triggered the AI winters. The money just dried up. But here's the thing. Progress didn't just stop. It just went underground. It got quieter, focusing on really practical stuff. You had these expert systems, which were basically just a bunch of if-then rules to do things like help doctors with diagnoses. But then, 1997 happened, and AI roared back into the public consciousness in a huge way. IBM's Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion. This wasn't some lab experiment. This was front-page news. It was a clear signal to the world. AI is back, and the winter might finally be over.
And that brings us to the 2000s, when the winters finally, truly began to thaw. It was like a perfect storm. 3 absolutely crucial ingredients came together at just the right time. And this convergence, well, it set the stage for the modern AI explosion we're living through right now. This was the dawn of deep learning.
So it wasn't just one single thing. It was this magical combination of 3 things happening all at once. First, big data. The internet just exploded, right? Suddenly, there's this massive, near infinite library of text and images for an AI to learn from. Second, big compute. And this is a fun one. The GPUs, the graphics cards that were made for video games, turns out they were absolute powerhouses for running AI calculations in parallel. And finally, number 3, brilliant algorithms. New breakthroughs that could actually take all that data and all that computer power and do something amazing with it.
And of all those new algorithms, the real king was backpropagation, pioneered by a guy we're going to hear more about, Geoffrey Hinton. This was the missing piece of the puzzle. Think of it like this. It's a way for the network to learn from its own mistakes. When it gets an answer wrong, it doesn't just give up. It sends a little error signal backward through the whole network, telling each connection, hey, you need to adjust a tiny bit. This one idea is what finally allowed us to train really deep networks with tons of layers.
Okay, so the stage is set, right? You've got the data, you've got the compute power, you've got the magic learning algorithm. All the world needed was that one definitive mic drop moment to prove that this new recipe actually worked. And that moment was the 2012 ImageNet competition. A deep learning model called AlexNet came in, and it didn't just win. It absolutely obliterated the competition. It shattered all the old records for image recognition. The message couldn't have been clearer. Deep learning was the future.
Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important revolution, the one that leads directly to the tools like ChatGPT that we're all using today. And believe it or not, it all kicked off with a single, brilliantly titled research paper.
There it is. Attention is all you need. In 2017, researchers at Google published this paper, and it introduced something called the transformer architecture. And yes, that T is the exact same T in GPT, generative pre-trained transformer. I'm not exaggerating when I say this paper changed absolutely everything. So what's the big deal? What makes a transformer such a game changer? It's all about a mechanism called self-attention. See, older models had to read a sentence word by word, kind of like us, and they'd often forget what the beginning of the sentence was about by the time they got to the end. A transformer is different. It looks at all the words in a sentence at the exact same time, and it figures out how important each word is to every other word. This gave it this incredible grasp of context and nuance. It was a massive, massive leap forward.
And once the transformer was out in the wild, the race was on. The new mantra in AI became bigger is better. And just look at this growth. It's insane. GPT-1 in 2018 had 117 million parameters. Think of those as the little knobs the AI can tune. Just 1 year later, GPT-2 had 1.5 billion. Then GPT-3 comes along and just explodes to 175 billion. It's this exponential, mind-boggling leap in scale that started to unlock these surprising new abilities. The stuff that, you guessed it, feels a lot like magic.
And the pioneers behind all these breakthroughs? Remember Geoffrey Hinton, the backpropagation guy? Well, he, along with Jan LeCun and Yoshua Bengio, are now known as the godfathers of AI. And for all their foundational work, the three of them were jointly awarded the 2018 Turing Award, which is, for all intents and purposes, the Nobel Prize of Computing. A huge deal.
Okay, so that brings us pretty much to today. We've gone from the early dreams through those long, frustrating winters and into these incredible revolutions. So after this 80-year roller coaster, where are we right now? And more importantly, what comes next?
Well, if you look at the famous Gartner hype cycle, we are right here, at the very top, the peak of inflated expectations. Sound familiar? It should, because we've seen this pattern again and again on our journey. And if history tells us anything, it suggests that there's probably a valley of disillusionment coming next, before the technology really settles in and finds its true, productive place in our world.
Of course, the big one, the holy grail for a lot of researchers, is still artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This goes all the way back to the original dream. We're not talking about an AI that's good at just one thing. We're talking about a machine that could understand or learn any intellectual task a human can. It's really the modern version of Alan Turing's original profound question. Can a machine truly think?
And on that exact topic, Geoffrey Hinton, again, one of the godfathers who helped create all this, offers a pretty sobering thought. He says, I think it may be quite soon these machines are smarter than us. And his hope? That we can reach an agreement with the machines where they act like benevolent parents. Wow. Coming from him, that really makes you stop and think. And so, that leaves us with the final, crucial question. As we keep turning what looked like magic yesterday into the science of today, what exactly are we building? Are we going to create the benevolent parents that Hinton hopes for? Or are we building something else entirely? The only thing we know for sure is that the next chapter of this incredible 80-year story is being written as we speak.